Hi guys, welcome to my second video. I didn't expect this one to be so heavy and personal, but I'm gonna talk about my battle against depression, anxiety, and depersonalization-Derealization disorder. I don't know when exactly I got these disorders, but I first noticed the symptoms back in September 2024. They lasted for like half a year, and I don't know whether I've fully recovered yet. I'm still on medication, but I'm certainly better than I was a few months ago, and I hope that this video can help those who are struggling and going through the same stuff. As I've just mentioned, I don't know when these disorders occurred, but when I was preparing for my exchange studies in September, I found myself constantly doubting every decision I made. I just lost trust in my ability and lost all my confidence. That's when my dad noticed that something was wrong with me. And when I noticed these differences I had compared to my past self, I was overwhelmed and confused. I just didn't know what was going on with me. After having a mental breakdown at home, my mom took me to different psychiatrists. They weren't sure what was going on with me, so they just gave me different meds to try. And these are the meds that I tried, and there are many more. Since my mom was very concerned about me, I had to go to the psychiatrist once a week and go to therapy twice a week for the first 3 weeks. It was torture. And in November, I started seeing a Chinese doctor weekly as well. For the physical symptoms, the first one would be tense muscles, which made it very hard for me to fall asleep. During my sleep, I can feel my body shaking. My legs would also twitch uncontrollably every day when I woke up. And during daytime, my hands would keep shaking, always like this, and my legs would also keep shaking to shake off the anxiety. And even when I wasn't nervous, my voice would also shake, so it's like everything just kept shaking. I was also physically and mentally numb. Recalling my past painful experiences didn't trigger any emotions inside me. I only had two major emotions at that time, which were numbness and anxiety. And I remember watching a video of a guy licking a toilet lid, and I didn't find it gross. At that time, I thought I could do it too without disgusting myself. And I just stopped caring about everything. Like, for example, I hate betrayal the most, but at that time, I didn't care whether my boyfriend was cheating on me or not. And another one would be loss of appetite. I didn't know whether I was full or I was hungry, and I just kept eating. I also didn't care what I was putting into my body. I started eating avocado, pumpkin, and dark chocolate, and these three things are stuff that my normal self doesn't like to eat. And I remember that since I was so numb, I didn't feel scared when I saw a cockroach, and I could just easily pick it up and feel nothing. And when I was playing chess, I got an ELO of over 800. My normal self would be so excited, but I just didn't feel any excitement, and I just felt that I got lucky. Oh, one more example to add. I could swallow capsules easily. Like, my normal self can't swallow any pills. Like, even if it's this tiny, I still can't swallow it. But at that time, I could swallow the capsule with ease every single day. Another symptom would be disconnection from my body and the world. I felt there was a barrier between me and the world, and I couldn't estimate or perceive the distance between me and other people or objects, making me constantly block or bump into them. And I also wasn't aware whether I was being too loud, and I didn't feel that I was really me. I remember when I got the dean's list, I didn't feel any excitement. I just felt like I'm an imposter who's getting a certificate that didn't belong to me. And all my previous accomplishments also weren't mine. And I just felt so empty, and all my good traits seemed to be dissociated, and I forgot a huge part of me. The fourth one would be restlessness. I always couldn't fall asleep, and I couldn't even nap on a bus because there were too many things on my mind, and my heart kept racing. My brain was conscious even when I seemed to be sleeping. I also suffered from memory loss. It's as if I couldn't input any information. For example, people could tell me things and I'd forget them in 2 minutes. And the storage of my brain was full all the time, and I just felt very guilty and bad about myself because it would seem like I didn't really care about my loved ones. Another one would be the inability to comprehend things. One time I tried to read a psychology book, and I failed to understand it as if I had zero knowledge of the subject, which wasn't true because I did study psychology before. And when I try to watch YouTube videos or Instagram reels of people talking about subject matter, for example, generalized anxiety disorder, emotional numbness, or depersonalization, I also didn't understand, and I couldn't absorb any information. Even when I talked to people, my damaged comprehension ability caused me to be more anxious. Also, loss of interest and focus. I wasn't interested in anything, and I couldn't focus on anything. It felt like nothing really mattered anymore, and nothing had meaning. And I was pretty nihilistic back then, and I never thought that I would be a nihilist. Another one would be sensitivity to things or sounds. During my sleep, whenever I heard a sound, my heart would race or skip a beat, And when I went outside, I would feel like too many things stimulate me and I just want to go home ASAP. I also struggled with irritability. Since I already got too many things on my mind, people giving me additional pressure would trigger me. For example, they were just giving me a small task, it would already made me very irritated. The last one would be suicidal thoughts. Every day was hell to me and I just wanted to end it as soon as possible. It was simply too much to bear. Depression and anxiety made me feel like I couldn't move. Like, for example, socializing is good for depression, but my anxiety made me worry about not being able to read social cues. And for a period, I couldn't go out without someone I could trust. And so I just felt very hopeless and helpless. One time I watched a movie and I couldn't pay attention at all, no matter how hard I tried. And all I kept thinking was, when can I leave this place and go home? So when I finally regained my focus and was able to watch a movie that's around 2 hours long, I was really touched that I cried at night before bed. Another one is funny. So I've tutored primary and secondary school students for more than 5 years, but because at that time I was so unconfident in myself, I didn't ever believe in my ability to teach a P1 kid English. And then one morning, as I walked into the dining room, my eyes suddenly couldn't see things clearly for around 30 seconds, and it was like everything darkened, and I could see green spots, and my vision seemed to be covered by a net, and I had to look at my phone through the spaces. I was terrified that I would go blind, and I went to the hospital. They told me that it could be because I accidentally overdosed on net, and thankfully now I can still see things. So here's the general advice I got. Get some sunlight, do more exercise, sleep early, do things that you enjoy, and hang out with friends. Personally, I tried both Chinese and Western medication, acupuncture, counseling, and therapy. I'm talking about on a weekly basis, but none of them seemed to work. I tried listening to hymns, and it did temporarily help calm my feelings and anxiousness, but I think the only thing that healed me was time. Because when you're depressed for too long, your brain will try to let you feel other emotions as a way of coping or as an attempt to break free from the pervasive sadness. I think journaling also helped me process my feelings and thoughts better because it's easier to catch your thought patterns rather than letting your thoughts float around. But I think it's hard to catch up with journaling when you're in a really terrible mental state. I also couldn't stay consistent, although I did have the habit of journaling daily. The greatest lesson I've learned is to have more self-care and not push myself too hard. My schedule used to be always packed with little time reserved for myself, and this wasn't healthy because it would eventually lead to burnout. I think we should all take care of ourselves more and have more me time. Another one is gratefulness. There are a lot of things that we can be grateful for, no matter how minor they seem. Before this experience, I never knew how precious it was to be able to fall asleep or take a nap and concentrate. The ability to think and comprehend things is also something we ought to be thankful for. Thirdly, only you can help yourself. No matter how others try to help you, only you can truly help yourself. It's like dragging a cow by the leg, only it can choose to drink the water or not. So you have to fight this battle by yourself and for yourself, because no one truly understands your situation or knows what's best for you. Also, what you think defines you doesn't really define you. I thought the main 3 qualities that made me me were loyalty, authenticity, and kindness, but due to my DPDR, I felt like I lost them all, and I didn't know who I was anymore. So it's important to embrace change and the uncertain, and not use your usual patterns to limit who you are and can potentially become. This one is a big one. Suffering is our blessing. Things may get really tough, and it may seem so hopeless, but we'll get through the suffering eventually. Instead of dwelling on the question of why do I have to go through this pain, it's better to turn this into a positive experience. For me, I think God put me through all this so that I know firsthand what it's like to have those disorders, and so I can better empathize and help others in need in the future. For anyone going through any of these disorders, if you can get through this, you will be deadly. I do think it's the toughest and darkest period of my life. At that time, I thought nothing could be worse than going through 3 intertwined mental disorders at once. No one had probably gone through it, and I wasn't afraid of death because I thought death was better than the torture I went through every single day. So I soon realized that the daily struggles we have don't really matter as much, and we can care less about things. For example, we no longer need to care about how others may judge us or failing to submit an assignment on time whatsoever. So yeah, I hope this video is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my 3rd video.